folks. Good afternoon. It's a great pleasure for me to be here tonight in our studio, also at our center, our training center called Financial Power Institute. My name is Coach Greb. For those who don't know me, I'm the founder and CEO of the Greb Coach International, of which Financial Power Institute and FInanTV are member. Basically today, I'm here to introduce to you what we do in our center here at the Financial Power Institute. A few days ago, I introduced you to our channel, our FInanTV channel. But today, my goal is to teach you, not teach you, but to introduce you to what we do here. In fact, our center is called Financial Power Institute. And it might be a terminology you might not be familiar with because, yes, it is new. I coined that. So basically, if you hear Financial Power Institute or if you hear Financial Power, that comes from Coach Greb. Coach Greb, for those who don't know me, is my pen name. So basically, this is the name that you call me when it comes to writing, it comes to FInanTV, it comes to my career. Well, let's talk about career. How did I come to this story of a Financial Power Institute and FInanTV, and what am I bringing? What am I bringing to the table? Well, it's a long story, but I can summarize it in a very short way so you can understand it. Many years back, so I say 14 years ago, I was inspired with an idea. When I found myself at a crossroads of life where I thought I had everything I needed, I had the education I needed, I have the money that I needed, I have the house, the wife, and everything, but I felt empty. I felt like something was missing. And I felt so deeply sorry for myself. I tried to understand. The man of God was with me back then and said, you need to pray. I didn't really know how to fast. He advised me to fast. So I said, let me try this fast. And I went on a 21-day fast. 21 days. For somebody who's not used to fasting, you can imagine how painful that can be. But after a few days, I didn't feel any more pain in my stomach. My body has already gotten used. So what was more important was what was going on in my mind. On the 18th day of that fast, 3 days, the man of God told me, don't eat, don't drink, don't do anything. That's when it all happened. I was there when I went to a funeral of my adoptive father here in America. So everybody was, having fun down. No, I can't say fun, but eating and chatting. But I was upstairs reading my Bible, taking notes as I always do. And suddenly, the room felt bright, white, like the glare of a 53-wheeler coming to pull the glare over me. The room became so bright white. I was like, what is going on? And then I saw the windows, the curtain flickering as if some kind of wind entered the room. And that time, somebody asked me to ask questions. Because the real reason I was fasting was to ask God, what is it that I need to do more than you bless me here and there, but I still feel unfulfilled. So why am I feeling this way? So that was an opportunity for me to talk. And I believe maybe it lasted 2 minutes, maybe a minute, but to me it felt like a 30-minute or more. I engaged a conversation with that I call a spirit of voice. I don't know. I cannot name it. I knew it was a presence. And since I had a pad in my hand, I started asking questions about my life. And that's when, after that time that I said probably lasted 30 minutes or less, or maybe 2 minutes or 1 minute, I wrote down everything I wanted to do. I wrote down and the detail of my life. And to this day, I have that notebook that I go to in my prayer room, sit down when I want to speak to the Holy Ghost, and I look at it. Sometimes when I get distracted and I get lost, I go back and take that book, my notes, and I read it. And that energizes me to know that, you wrote it down. This is what God wants you to do. Don't go astray. Don't be led astray. Because sometimes, and I say many times, our greatest enemy is distraction. Distraction is that which takes you away from the path that God has already laid out for you. But because you are looking for something, we don't know what it is. You look at, okay, I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to go and pursue other things. And to be honest with you, I was one of the victims of that for a long time. So that's how God told me that I should write a book and to teach his children to get out of poverty, and at the same time do a TV station where I can teach them from wherever they are. Back then, it seemed like a big task because I teach them about what? I don't know anything about the Bible. I go to church, but I don't read the Bible, so I really don't know what am I going to teach them, really. But I took that seriously because God made it clear that it was not only my calling, but that was the pathway to all that I was looking for. Either I do what he wants and go through what I'm supposed to be and do in this life, enjoy life to the sozo, meaning to the fullest, or I could continue pursuing what I wanted to pursue, in which case I would have lived. So I'd say subsisted, not lived. Well, when that came, I wrote everything down as I told you. And I told myself, shall I tell my wife about this? And somewhere I said, no, maybe I should not. So the only part that I told my wife was that we're going to have a boy. That's what I said. To this day, she doesn't know what God told me. First, I felt guilty about that. She said, why should I share with my wife what God want to do in my life? But no. It's a secret between God and me. So I should never go and deliver it like that. So you should not know. But the only part that you know that concerns you is that I am to write and to edify you. That's why my mission is that I was inspired to empower. That's my motto. Inspired to empower. That is what you're going to read. That's what you're going to see everywhere. That's what you're going to learn from me, because I was inspired to empower. But as you all know, the promise does not occur when it was announced. When the birth of Jesus was announced, it was not born immediately. When God promised to Abraham that he was going to have a son, the son Isaac didn't just appear immediately, which even led Abraham to trying to do something on his side. And that's our problem. When the promise to us takes time to birth, to come to reality, we say, well, I'm just going to do something else. And that happened to me. I felt like, well, God gave me this great mission. The first day I saw it, I started writing a book. I believe that I wrote almost 70% of the book. And I came to a halt at a point where I doubted myself, saying, hey, me? Who am I to really write a book? That's what the voice in the background told me. And the voice in the background didn't just come to talk to me. The voice in the background came through somebody who was close. Like, you know what? You want to write a book? You should prove yourself about finance. You should be the example. So that when people hear your testimony, then they will believe. That made sense, didn't it? That makes sense, right? You want to teach something, you have to live it so that you can teach others. But what I'm going to tell you today is that, you see, the reason a lot of people stay and live an average life is that they're seeking that which makes sense. See, we want things to make sense. But Mary could not understand. Mary, the mother of Jesus, could not understand that we could make a child without going with the husband. To human, that didn't make sense. But to God, that made sense. So if you're going to work with God, you're going to be an adept of things that don't make sense. In fact, people who do things that don't make sense are the precursors, the originators, the pioneers of our development. Because when they come to do things, people take them for crazy people, for nerdy people, for uncommon people, people who have no common sense. And to me, I don't go by common sense anymore. You see, common sense is everybody's doing. But I do uncommon sense. So when you read my book that we're going to talk about soon, you will learn that uncommon sense is the route that those people who put the mark on this earth go through. I call that the power of uncommon sense. Common people doing common things uncommonly. When I teach you, I will tell you that super achievers are ordinary people doing ordinary things extraordinarily. So when people say, well, who are you to teach people about finance? You should be the example. I believed that for a while. And that slowed me down. That stopped me, actually. And I started doubting myself to say, who am I really to do this? But plus, I'm not even a pastor. I don't know much about the Bible. So what am I going to write? Plus, I don't really, of course, I have a business degree, but that's not enough to talk about God and money. This is something, I don't know. Yeah. Moses said the same thing, right? Moses said, well, I got all this impairment. I can't speak. But God said no. See, the problem is that when we do things, it's not us doing those things. It's God doing those things through us. So if God is the one speaking through you, is God doing things through you, who are you to judge what God is doing through you? The reason a lot of people don't do what they're supposed to do is that they see themselves, they weren't doing it. No. You see, when Jesus went and he knew that he wanted to start his ministry, and Jesus used leverage. Leverage is when you use other people's effort to do something. For example, look at in the franchising area. I want to be in Azerbaijan with my McDonald's, but I can't be in Azerbaijan. So I'm going to use leverage, meaning I have a system that's already there. I'm going to use other people in Azerbaijan to be there for me. So my name will be there. They will pay, but we all share. It's a win-win-win situation. So Jesus, saw that he couldn't be different places. He couldn't be in Jerusalem and be in Galilee and be in different area. So he had to use leverage. He had to bring people along and empower them with the Holy Ghost and send them. He taught them and sent them to say, you guys go. And whatever I do, you guys can multiply. So they went and Jesus cloned himself in a way that those people went to do what Jesus could do, but that he couldn't reach everywhere. We know Jesus is a God, so he's omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscience. But remember, Jesus was dealing with human beings, and human beings need to see human faces. That's why God became human, so that he became closer to us. Coming to my story. So I told myself, well, God, I can't do all this. And God said, I never asked you to do anything. I asked you to simply obey, and I will do things through you. You see, the problem with us is that when God gives us, he makes us pregnant with a project, we think that we're the one to find the resources, find the intelligences, find everything. No. The Bible that was written, for example, is a good example. The Bible was inspired, even to people like Matthew, a tax collector. But God uses anybody. So, throughout the year, I stopped writing the book. I stopped doing what God was called me to do because I didn't think myself as qualified to do those things. So I told myself, you know what? Maybe I was not really called to do this. But guess what? As the years went by, a feeling of guilt overwhelmed me. I felt like I was being disobedient. And yet I knew that God said he preferred obedience than sacrifice. So I felt like I was disobeying God, not doing what he wanted me to do. When I was going to church and people were preaching about, well, some folks here are here, God gave me a thing, but they're not doing what God asked them, I felt like, oh, they're talking about me. They are just talking about me now. And when I went home, I started again. But then there's a force that told me, no, you're not qualified for this. And guess what? It took me 14 years. When you see my book, some of the data, I had to update them because I wrote them 14 years ago. When I was so excited about the project, it took 14 years for me to be here today. But guess what? Those 14 years were years of what? Years of training. When I started this book, I wanted to do storytelling. I think when I look at those great writers, I see they're telling stories. And I told myself, where do I find my story to tell? And God said, don't worry, you will be the story. I said, what? He said, don't worry, you will be the story. But what I'm going to do with you, I'm going to take you up and down, so you can write a story. And you will not have to write other people's story, but you will write this story, your story. So for the past 14 years, I went through life with God. The small thing that I succeeded at became so hard. I lost money. If I tell you how much money I lost in entrepreneurship, I can't tell you. I working hard, but it looks like whatever I was doing was giving me meager harvests. I did not see the material wealth, but today, the wealth that God wanted to give me was the spiritual wealth. The ability for me to sit here, be confident by the power of my faith in God to teach people with ease and confidence. I told myself, God, come on, I got an MBA. I went to school to study economics and finance. What am I doing in the classroom? And God said, you don't know it yet. I'm taking you to the classroom because that's where you're going to be. You're going to be in the classroom of teaching my people what they don't know. Teaching my people the untruth they've been told. Teaching my people how to unlearn the untruth and teach them what they need to know. And I said, okay, Dad, let's do it. When I surrendered every single day, God led me to scriptures, to knowledge. He led me to understand that people that God wants, He's the one who's selecting them. They're of no noble rank. When Jesus chose his disciples, they are fishers. But because they were fishers, God said, I will make you fisher of men. So don't look at yourself and say, well, look at me. I have nothing. I don't even have an education. I don't think those fishermen had an education. I don't think John had an education. I don't think Andrew had an education. I don't think Bartholomew had an education. I don't even think that James had an education. But with God, the education that God wanted them to have, they were enough for God. For God, they were enough. You see, the problem is that many times we want something else than what God already gave us. But when God is the one who gave you everything, you are enough. You are enough. You are enough where you are. And don't think that, well, you need a PhD. That's what I told myself. Well, I need to read more. I need to do this and that. God said, you are enough the way I made you. And you are perfect in my eyes. And you are enough because what I'm going to put in you is what you need, nothing else. The problem is we're wasting our time looking for things that will probably be artificial that we don't really need. So, when that happened in my story, let me go back to that story. I went to study finance. I went to study finance. The CFC, Self-Employed Financial Program. I went to study real estate, insurance, investment, everything. I think that I thought I needed everything to be perfect. So, during those 14 years, I got certificates here, license certificate, insurance license, real estate license here. I have all those names, but I didn't see them. People said, but you have insurance, why don't you sell insurance? I said, no, I'm not getting insurance to sell insurance. I'm not interested in insurance, selling insurance. I am learning this so I can teach other people. I'm learning investment so I can teach other people. But because I got to teach people, I need to practice it. So that's why I'm going to probably invest. I'm learning real estate because I want to teach people how to smartly buy a home. So I'm going to teach them, and because I want to give them practical knowledge, I'm going to invest in real estate. So everything I learn, for that reason, I practice it so that I can be not only theoretically fit, but I can also give you my practical examples. So folks, I started writing the book. But as I started writing, it felt like the ideas did not come from me. When I wrote, I said like, this idea really coming from me? And I remembered that the Bible was inspired. So basically, I saw that, wow, so these things are really not me, but they are God-given. So this inspiration that wake me up in the morning at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock a.m., 5 o'clock, sometimes I write from 1 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the morning, nonstop. They didn't come from me. So this book here, The Power to Triumph, that you're going to learn, this course that I'm going to teach you is not coming from me. I'm too human to know, to have this kind of knowledge. that are far beyond me. And yesterday, as I said, that God, I said something in my teaching yesterday when I said God He put the nature over him. What I meant by that is God put his laws, his word above himself in a way that things that God gave us have power. So whatever God gave you has power because God put himself in it and God gave you the fullness of it. So if I come here to teach you, don't look at me. It is the voice of God speaking to you. And God said, some people want to talk about me, but they want to talk about me just partially. Some people don't want to talk about me. They want to talk about money. But you will talk about me and money. Because guess what? When we look at the Bible, we see that the subject that God has talked more, the most debated is money. Scholars say, biblical scholars say that there are 3,000, over 3,500 biblical references to money than any other subject in the Bible. So it means that God dearly considered money to be a very, very important topic. So coming back to the story again, I don't want to be led astray. I wrote a book. Because I wrote so much throughout the years, one book, if I had to publish one book, it would be thousands of pages. So I was like, how do I publish this book? When I go to publish, like, this is a big book. Then something came to my mind through the voice of somebody that God sent to say, you know what? You can break these books in different parts. And I said, yes, I can do that. So one book became 2 books. 2 books became 4 books. 4 books became 6 books today. The book that I will teach you from are inspirations that God gave me. I call them the Bible of financial power. Well, I'm not trying to blaspheme here, but I'm simply saying that in this book, you will find biblical references. You will find stories of people like Jeff Bezos, like Elon Musk. You will hear stories about people like Alibaba founder Jack Ma. You will hear stories about Starbucks founder Stewart. All these people, God guided me to their life to say, you know, these are people that I used, like people like you. I used them to do something. They followed me and they said, what were they doing today? So this book has stories about people's life, has references, has statistics, has numbers. It's a complete book. Stories, has parables. And when you read these books, you will be totally transformed. So for now, let me quickly mark a little short break and introduce you through this little short ad to this book. We'll be right back. Well, folks, welcome back to this short conversation, and that's why I'm doing the book. The book is a conversation. I want it to be funny. I want it to be conversational, just like you jogging with me, and we are talking. And so that's how I have the conversation. Simple, but very beautifully written in a way that you don't feel like, I don't want things that are boring. When I teach, I want people to be entertained. The same way this book is going to entertain you. This book will be available for purchase on July 5th from Amazon. But if we want a hard copy, you're going to get it from me from our site, financialpowerinstitute.com, or which is also FinanPower or CoachGreb.com. It's the same website. That's where you're going to get the book from. But they will only be available to you on July 5th. So get ready for the book. Look out for them. You're going to pre-order them soon. I will come back to this spot here again to show you when you can start pre-ordering your book. And guess what? You want to use this book to empower not only you, but people around you. Because we all want to grow together. And this is our opportunity. We can't accommodate poverty. This is God, He's hurting. God knows He's the owner of wealth. How come that the owner of the wealth has his children go through poverty, and many of us have accommodated poverty as a way of life? It's a disservice to you and to God. So going with the story, I went to write 6 books. These are spiritually based books, meaning that I dig in the Bible, I dig in other books, I dig in secular books to bring out the knowledge. I'm not the one doing it, so I have no problem. The Holy Spirit guides me. He said, go here, and I find the information. And I use that information to empower it and to get the data and everything to teach. So this book is a book of teaching. But also, God guided me to write other books. I wrote a series of books that are called Teach Me Money by Coach Greb. There are 15 books, practical books, that address what you will learn soon that I call the basic right of wealth. Basic right stands for B for budgeting, A for asset acquisition, S for saving, I for investment, C for credit and debt, basic. Then you have T and an R, which is retirement. We have I for insurance and risk management. We have T for taxes, so tax planning, and E for estate planning. Basic right. It's a 10-course program. Of course, we added real estate, so that makes it 10 courses that I teach. Folks, if you learn these things that I'm going to teach you, you will come back and tell me, Coach Greb, I don't know what you did. This program will transform your life. So, I have 2 series, as I said. We have the Financial Power series, and we have the Teach Me Money series, which are practical books about budgeting, how to do your budget. And I'm teaching from a different perspective, where people say envelope, all this kind of thing. I don't do that. I call, for example, I have a system called the 4 baskets of wealth. Simple, easy to apply, and enticing. Not the one that are repulsive. You're going to go for different numbers. No, I don't do that. Simple. When we talk about saving, we talk about the rule of money. We talk about the rule of money, and we talk about the money numbers. For example, I'm not going to teach you now. Money numbers. When it comes to retirement, we tell you the truth about retirement. So this different thing we talk about will, first of all, give you a different perspective, but simple for you to see the result. I call that wiser, okay? Wisdom, wiser coaching. So guys, we have a wealth of information here, and we have programs for every group that we believe need to hear the word. You see, the Basic Right program is a program, as I say, that is comprehensive when it comes to what you need to know about finance. I call that your basic right of wealth, which is you must know this. But we have programs that are customized to a specific group of people. For example, we have a program called Women of Wealth. Women of Wealth program is to teach women how to use their God-given talent, abilities to create wealth. We want to teach women to use the power that God put in them to get out of poverty. As we learn, you're going to see how unequal women are, inequally I would say, women are treated. When it comes to the CEO pay, you see, for example, that women have a very small, not a small fraction, but a fraction of what men get paid. 80% of men's salary. Why? Women have the power to change their lives, and we want to help them do just that. We have a program called First Millionaire. We want to teach you how you will be able to create your first million. If you can create your first million, you can create anything. And that's called the First Million program. We want to teach you how to do that. It's a 15-month program where we start with you from zero to build you up. You create your first million. We're going to teach you the strategies that American millionaires use to build their wealth. We have programs for different group of people. We have programs for churches. Okay, we want to bring knowledge, this power in church, because, folks, God never said it, that money is the source of evil. We say that. Yesterday I said that. It's not. Poverty is the source of evil. We know that. And when I teach you that, you understand that somebody who's all this thing you see around us, jealousy, murder, prostitution, all these evil things, is simply because of poverty. So poverty is not, money is simply a tool. It cannot be the cause of the evil that's happening. The people using money are the reason why there's problem. So that I don't want to focus on that. So this is what I'm bringing you here. We have a program for couples as well. I cannot talk about money without talking about couple. Today we see a couple fighting over money, marriage being broken apart because of money, family are being dislocated because of money. We can't have this. God is the God of marriages. He's the one. That's the first institution He created. He wants people to be united. So when God see money disrupting the family nucleus because of financial challenge or this misunderstanding, God is not going to have that. He's not going to have that. So we need to teach women. We need to teach men and women. Spouses how to work together, how to understand each other, and how to work together to build wealth together. And this one is a blast. It's beautiful. We take you to a resort place where we actually help you and your spouse, stay in a nice resort, learn together, fall in love again, basically, and plan together and come back. We follow you. It's an ongoing program. So after we train you, we follow you, and we help you reach your financial goals. This is beautiful. This is beautiful, folks. This one, out of all the programs, this is where I will find my greatest joy, to see families come together and build up together. But guess what? We can't forget the kids. So we have kids program as well, because you see, they are the future. And our program want to make sure that before your child go off to college and become victimized by the system, we want that child to be ready. So we do this. We have a program for little ones, but especially for those going off to college. Before they enter college, they must go through what we call the TMM program, Tomorrow's Multimillionaire Program. TMM program, Tomorrow's Multimillionaire Programs, to learn the foundation. Because when they go on campus, what's going to happen? So they're not only going to come here, but certainly they're going to have a credit card. They're going to get money, and they're going to just do what the parent did and be in the middle and suffer from middle-class poverty. So, folks, the book, the system, the energy, the television, all that are all coming together as one. The Financial Power Institute, the Coach Greb books, the FInanTV programs, all have but one single mission: to empower you to build wealth from scratch. God is not happy with what's going on. A lot of untruth have been taught to God's children. God's children have been sitting on the sideline and letting other people use God's wealth. It cannot be like that anymore. The lies must stop. The untruth must stop. The sideline must stop. And it is time for you to triumph. That's why the book is called The Power to Triumph. Because God gave you the power to triumph. And He gave me that power to empower you. That's why I said I was inspired to empower you. Folks, it's been a great pleasure. I can go on and on and on, but I want to stop here for today. Today our goal was to introduce you to the Financial Power Institute. As I said, people told you about financial security. They told you about financial independence. But I tell you about financial power, the one that allows you to build a legacy for your children. Because the Bible tells us that a good man leaves an inheritance for the children of his children. Meaning that you're going to do like the Rockefellers. Their money is crossing 6 generations. You're going to do like the Vanderbilt. You're going to do like the Rothschild. You're going to do like the Walton, where their money is crossing generation. If your money is not crossing generation, you cannot call it wealth. It's been a great pleasure for me to be here. Now, follow our podcast. In the next few minutes, we're going to be live with our podcast with FInanTV Radio Live with Coach Greb. It's been a pleasure for me to be here today. And follow us. I will come again to give you detail, to follow us, to follow the Financial Power Institute, to buy your collection of books. It's about 23 books that you need to have. 23 books that will be in this collection. The 6 books from the Financial Power series, the 15 books from the Teach Me Money series, and other books that we're writing to complement all that. About 23 books that you're going to have in your collection. Folks, it's been a great pleasure for me to be here, and I will see you very soon. For now, bye-bye, and have a pleasant day. Thank you. It was Coach Greb Live. I almost forgot that part. Thank you.